The year is 1914. A young Englishman, unnamed, has been at sea for 67 days, en route to a desolate island in the South Atlantic, where he's set to spend the next year as a weather observer. On the final day of the voyage, as he smokes by the ship's railing, the captain strikes up a conversation. He wonders aloud what the young man is fleeing from, the same question he himself was asked when he first chose a life at sea. The Englishman says nothing. Upon arriving at the island, the crew helps unload the supplies and escort the man to the cabin that will serve as his home. The absence of birds catches his attention. The skies are eerily quiet. The captain also notes the lack of a greeting from the island's weather officer, which is unsettling. Inside, the cabin appears long abandoned. Dust, neglect, and silence. The captain grows uneasy. He suggests they leave, but the Englishman is resolute. He's not going anywhere. Despite his misgivings, the captain joins him to scout the island. They head toward a lighthouse they'd seen from the ship, passing a stone fountain along the way. Etched into the rocks is a territorial warning. Gruner owns this fountain. The captain sends his crew back to the boat and continues on with the Englishman. When they reach the lighthouse, they find it oddly fortified. Repeated knocks go unanswered. They force the door and ascend, eventually discovering an old man asleep upstairs. Gruner. Gruner murmurs something strange about returning to the water as he wakes. When questioned about the previous weather observer, Aldor Vigeland, Gruner claims he died of typhus and simply wandered off one day, never to be seen again. Getting no further answers, the two men leave. The Englishman remains adamant about staying. Before parting, the captain offers him a gun, a final gesture of concern. The young man declines. Now alone, the Englishman begins settling in. As he tidies up and arranges his instruments, he discovers a journal tucked in a desk drawer, left behind by Vigeland. That evening, he reads it by firelight. At first, the journal holds routine entries, notes on flora and fauna, observations of the landscape. He finds a photograph of a woman in a wedding dress labeled Mrs. Vigeland with the words "Love, Love, Love" scribbled on the back, presumably Vigeland's wife. But as he reads on, the tone shifts. Scribbles and sketches of grotesque sea creatures fill the pages, beasts that attack humans. A chilling sentence stands out. Darwin was wrong. The next day, while taking his weather readings on the beach, the Englishman stumbles upon strange, deliberate patterns in the sand. Circles of rocks filled with shells, they're far too precise to be natural. That night, as he eats dinner in his cabin, unsettling noises echo outside, growls and thumps against the wooden walls. As he cautiously approaches the door, a monstrous paw slips underneath. It matches the sketches from the journals. With more creatures clambering over the house, he panics and bolts to the basement, locking the door behind him. Peering through a hole in the floorboards, he spies on the chaos above. When one of the creatures peers back at him through the same hole, he instinctively drives a knife into it. The danger isn't over, so he reinforces the basement door by tying it shut with rope from the stairs and spends the night trapped below. Come morning, he emerges to find bloodstains on the floor and strange footprints in the sand. Desperate, he rushes to the lighthouse, but the door won't open. After calling out several times, Gruner finally appears at a window, only to throw water at him and sneer that he should have stayed on the boat. Denied entry, the Englishman returns to prepare for the next night. He seals the cabin's windows, douses a perimeter of wood and books in lamp oil, then secures the door and arms himself with a rifle. As night falls, the creatures return. They swarm the cabin, trying to break in. He shoots a few, but they keep coming. In a final effort to repel them, he lights the oil-soaked barricade. The fire drives them back, but soon spreads to the cabin itself. Forced to flee, he burns his hand and seeks refuge behind the beach rocks under a pouring rain. The following morning, he returns to the smoldering ruins of the cabin. Wrapping his burned hand, he grabs his rifle and trails Gruner to the fountain. Just as he's about to shoot him, one of the creatures, a female wearing a sweater, leaps at him. He knocks her aside and raises his gun, only to be interrupted by Gruner, who now points his weapon at him. Friend holds his ground and threatens the creature to make Gruner surrender. When asked what he wants, he replies, "Isn't it obvious?" Eventually, Gruner relents and allows him into the lighthouse. Friend convinces him the creature is harmless, demonstrating by calling her like a pet. She obeys. Before they leave, Gruner decides to nickname the Englishman Friend. Together, they salvage what they can from the ruined cabin. Friend suspects the previous weatherman didn't die of typhus, but was left to the mercy of the creatures. Gruner neither confirms nor denies it, only urging that they return quickly before nightfall. Days later, Friend wakes in the lighthouse to find the creature tending his wounds with her healing saliva. He's been unconscious for 2 days. Gruner teases him for wetting himself. As they sort through their supplies, Friend marvels at the creature, theorizing she belongs to a unique, evolved species. Gruner isn't interested in such ideas. He drags Friend to the balcony to show him the one thing the creatures fear: light. When asked why he never left with the supply boat, Gruner scoffs, claiming he prefers isolation and control to civilization. As time passes, Friend starts adjusting to his new life. He finds a hammock, an old diving suit, and even begins marking days on the wall. He interacts more kindly with the creature, growing attached to her. One night, Gruner arms them for an incoming attack. He explains how to shoot only when creatures get close. Just a few kills will make them turn on each other. Their own creature howls from the upper balcony, perhaps calling to her kind. As the creatures advance, Gruner fights, but Friend falters. He retreats inside and faints. Gruner is furious the next day and threatens to throw him out if he continues to be a liability. Friend complies and fetches water, only to return and discover Gruner is sleeping with the creature. That night, Gruner locks Friend outside during an attack, forcing him to fight alone. He survives, bloodied but alive. Afterward, the two men settle into a grim routine. Friend labors during the day and defends the lighthouse by night. He reflects on his journey. He came to escape the world, but found hell instead. He can't comprehend how Gruner can brutalize and sleep with the creature at once, yet even Friend begins to bond with her, eventually naming her Aneris. One evening, a chess game distracts them from lighting the lamps. The creatures attack, nearly overwhelming them. Gruner is injured, and Aneris tends to his wound. Realizing they're running out of bullets, Friend goes to the beach and spots a boat. He rushes back for a flare gun, but Gruner blocks him from signaling. He declares that he has all he needs and doesn't want the island disturbed. As Gruner jumps on Friend in a fit of rage, Aneris intervenes, growling fiercely to make him back off. Days later, Friend overhears Gruner shouting at and hitting Aneris. Hurt and scared, she rushes out of the lighthouse. Concerned, Friend follows her, leaving his rifle behind on a rock. Gently, he approaches and shows her a small boat he carved from whalebone. Aneris recognizes its shape and leads him to a secluded part of the beach, where an old, abandoned boat lies. Friend rushes back to tell Gruner, only to find out that Gruner already knew of the boat's existence. He never mentioned it because he believed escape was futile. Between starvation and the threat of sea creatures, the result would be death. When asked where the boat came from, Gruner explains that a Portuguese man once tried to flee in it after surviving a shipwreck, only to be killed by the creatures. The ship had been carrying dynamite, which Gruner assumes is now waterlogged and useless. Determined, Friend reveals a diving suit he discovered and suggests using it to retrieve the sunken explosives to fight back. Gruner refuses, believing it's a suicide mission. Undeterred, Friend starts working on fixing the boat. One day, he's drawn to the fountain by Aneris' singing. He joins her in the water, taking off his shirt. Watching from above, a jealous Gruner changes his mind and tosses the diving suit at Friend, pretending to support the plan, but clearly hoping to rid himself of Friend. They head to the shipwreck site, and Friend dives in. He finds the dynamite and begins hauling it up with a rope, but two young sea creatures appear and knock him down. With his air running low, Friend tugs the rope 3 times, the signal for help. Gruner ignores it. Left with no choice, Friend abandons the suit and swims up on his own. Back at the lighthouse, they open the crates. Some dynamite is ruined, but others are still functional. Together, they bury 2 lines of explosives, one close to the lighthouse walls, the other farther out. As winter sets in, the attacks stop for a while. One morning, Friend finds Gruner nearly frozen on the balcony, clutching the detonator. Friend helps him inside and secretly disconnects the wires. Weeks pass peacefully until Gruner, convinced Aneris has betrayed them, strikes her and sets a trap. That night, Friend guards the open door lit by lamps, while Gruner forces Aneris to sing from the balcony to lure the creatures. A gust of wind blows out some lamps, allowing the creatures to enter. Friend fights them off as Gruner tries to blow the explosives, but nothing happens. Eventually, Friend reconnects the wires and sets off the farther line, killing many creatures. Ignoring warnings, Gruner pulls the lever again, detonating the closer line and knocking both of them out. The next morning, they survey the damage. Gruner finishes off any survivors, but Friend hesitates when he sees a creature wearing a necklace, a sign of sentience. Gruner tosses it away. That night, they hear Anaris wailing from the shore. Gruner reveals he found her as a baby, trapped in a net. She always cries, he says, but always comes back. Friend believes she's grieving. Later, he sees two child creatures in the ocean. Hoping to show peace, he arranges a ring of stones in the sand and places his carved bone boat inside it. Back at the lighthouse, Gruner is busy loading fake bullets to keep up the illusion of defense. Friend ignores him and watches his stone circle from the balcony. The next morning, he finds Gruner asleep with a deck of cards spilled beside him. Inside the box is a photo of a woman and a man, presumably her husband. The words "love, love, love" are written on the back. Friend realizes Gruner is actually the former weatherman, Aldor Vigeland, who lost his grip on reality after tragedy and solitude. Disturbed, Friend wipes away the tally marks he had been keeping on the wall. That day, he returns to the stone circle and finds the boat gone. Soon after, the young creature appears and, in a gesture of peace, starts to return the boat. More creatures, including a more confident-looking Anaris, emerge, but the moment is shattered by Gruner firing a shot from the balcony, wounding the child. The others flee, and Anaris lingers just long enough to exchange a look with Friend before diving into the sea. Enraged, Friend confronts Gruner, but Gruner overpowers him. Just as he's about to strike with an axe, Friend calls him by his real name. The name, along with the memory of love, shakes Gruner. He mumbles, "Love, love, love," before stepping outside and offering himself to the creatures. Friend hears the attack and closes the door, realizing he is now alone. Time passes. Eventually, 3 officers arrive to replace the supposed Gruner. They find Friend in Gruner's old bed. Mistaking him for the man himself, Friend doesn't correct them. Instead, he calmly tells them the previous weatherman died of typhus. As they lecture him on the state of the lighthouse and inform him that a war is ongoing, Friend walks out to the balcony, gazing at the warships in the distance. The final shot shows Anaris running along the beach before vanishing into the waves once again.